if you have a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes the show successful, and we thrive on your energy and insights. Whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. And if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature. Just click the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking. Hit that super chat button, and let's keep this show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can also go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We have to start off, though, with Real Madrid's electric is one way to describe it. Electric comeback over Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund took the lead in the 30th minute with Daniel Malin, and then doubled it. It was Jamie Bino Gittins, and they played a wonderful first half, and really similar to how they played in the Champions League final, especially in that first 35 minutes or so. Except the only difference was in this game they were able to get on the score sheet. And they were able to take advantage of their opportunities. For the last few minutes of the half, they suffered a little bit, but they were able to go in with a 2-0 lead, despite Real Madrid really turning it on that last 5 minutes of that first half. Then in the second half, you just saw pure domination from Real Madrid. Completely dominated this game, suffocated Borussia Dortmund, and yeah, it was inevitable. Not only were they able to draw level 2-2, they were able to get 5 goals past them in that second half. It was just, that was a champion's response after going down 2 goals. And I'm thinking, even if Borussia Dortmund did take the lead in the Champions League final, even if they took advantage of those opportunities that game in the first 60 minutes when they really dominated Real Madrid would have probably still responded beautifully, because that's just Real Madrid. They're never out of it. They have that champions mentality, and the way that they responded to going down 2-0, the domination, I mean, it was just Champions League Real Madrid. I was his best. Vinicius Jr. hat-trick, dominating, and they just completely suffocated Borussia Dortmund. And Dortmund, they just couldn't handle Real Madrid. And I was impressed at the fact that they were able to take the 2-0 lead, Dortmund, just based on what we've seen of them from away so far. And I thought they started off pretty marvelously. They created a lot of opportunities, and they controlled the possession. But once they took that 2-goal lead, everything went against them. They just completely lost the foothold in the game. They couldn't cope with the pressure, with the constant pressure. The defense looked fragile. They could have conceded 7 or 8. That's how dominated they were. That's how much pressure Real Madrid put on this Borussia Dortmund team, and it just shows that there's levels. But it was a great resilience fight from Real Madrid. They did what they do best. They've came back in high pressurized moments in many occurrences, in much more high pressurized moments than just another Champions League group stage game. And the way the game shifted from early on Dortmund dominating to Real Madrid just completely taking it over in that second half, and even to an extent in the last 5 minutes of the first half, it was just really, really impressive for Real Madrid. It was a good bounce back too, because if they were to lose this game, they were in danger of only having 3 points through their first 3 games, which would put them in an awkward position if they're trying to clinch a top 8 spot, which automatically gets you into the the knockout stages. Or the round of 16. You don't have to play that extra playoff to get in, which is unnecessary if you're a team like Real Madrid playing that extra playoff. So huge result for them. Great respond. Borussia Dortmund, there's a little bit of a bottling culture at that club, I do have to say. They give me Tottenham vibes, just the club in general, the history of Dortmund, some league titles that they've blown, and And that's that's what we saw here. I'm not gonna lie. They bottled that 2-0 lead. They couldn't manage the game. They couldn't put a foothold. Once they took the 2-goal lead and they completely dominated. And once Real Madrid, started getting more control, started piling on the pressure, you didn't see any way Borussia Dortmund was able to manage it. They had no control in that second half, which when you're playing with a 2-goal lead, you need to take the air out of the ball. There's certain periods where you just need to be able to hold on to it for 5 minutes just to relieve that pressure. Borussia Dortmund couldn't do that at all. They constantly were giving it away on the press. And it was really ironic because it was Borussia Dortmund that kept regaining possession as soon as they lost it in that first half. But in the second half, it completely shifted to Real Madrid. Really, it was I wouldn't say a battle of two halves, because I think once that second goal came in, Real Madrid, they turned it on for that last 5 to 10 minutes of the half. They hit the post multiple times, I believe 3 times, and they had some clear-cut out opportunities to cut the deficit before halftime. But it was a tale. It was a different game in the first 35 minutes compared to the rest of the game. It was just polar opposites. And this is what Real Madrid has been. Even when they're uncomfortable, they're comfortable. Even when they don't have possession of the ball, they're still able to be clinical with the opportunities that they come. Even when they go down and then they're in a dangerous situation, they can turn it on out of nowhere. That really is Real Madrid's DNA. What this Real Madrid team is. Vinicius Jr., he's just a different player. He's just a completely different player when he puts on that Real Madrid jersey. Compared to what he is with Brazil, just a completely different player. The dominance game in, game out, the importance that he provides as well for this Real Madrid team, how important he is, the skill, the quality he has, his ability on the pace. I mean, that goal cutting in onto his right foot. I mean, what a sensational goal. Just a sensational goal. Ancelotti, after the game, saying Vinicius Jr. will win the Ballon d'Or. In my opinion, he will get the award. It's not about tonight. It's what he did last season. Tonight's hat-trick can help his case for next Ballon d'Or. Even Lucas Vazquez saying, I told Vini Jr. that he's the Ballon d'Or after every goal tonight. The second half of Vinicius should be shown to all children so they can see how football is played. It was that kind of magisterial performance. Obviously, he was player of the match. And I do have to say, it keeps reiterating Vinicius Jr. is the best player on this Real Madrid team. Yes, Mbappe, is a really, really good player, really, really talented player. But Vinicius has been the player that has been that very important piece, really carried them in key moments throughout this, run that they've been having post Cristiano Ronaldo. It's been him. And for us to think, Mbappe was just going to take that reign as the leader and as the most important player for Real Madrid, maybe it was a little naive. I didn't believe that because I think it's a hard transition to make into a team that's this good, to suddenly become the main man for the team, especially with a player like Vinicius there, who it plays Mbappe's primary position. But yeah, I mean, and also what he's done at Real Madrid has been remarkable. I mean, you go back to 2020 when he was initially came in, there was a lot of people that thought he was a flop. A few years later now, multiple people is saying he's the Ballon d'Or. You see the praise that he's getting, and I just wish that this Vinicius Jr. would show up for Brazil, because that'd be a game-changing. And obviously playing for Brazil and Real Madrid is different. The pressure of playing for that Seleção and the quality that he has around him is different. Even though when it comes to international teams, there's not, even in this current Brazil, there's not much teams that have more quality, more national teams that have more quality, more flair to them. But at the same time, he's just two different players, And for Brazil's case, as a Brazilian national team fan, I really, really, really would like to see this with Brazil. I do have to say. And again, I reiterate, important win for Real Madrid in the fact that they lost their last Champions League game, and they don't want to be sitting with anything less than 6 points with 2 games, with was top 8 qualified automatically for the knockout stages. They want to get into that. As far as Borussia Dortmund, not the worst loss in the world. They're still sitting in a good position with 6 points from 3 games. Their goal differential is still at a high mark because of the 7-1 win that they had over Celtic. So they're still in a good place in their goal differential, and yeah, it's just their away form reared its ugly head yet again, and playing at Santiago Bernabeu is difficult. It's a difficult atmosphere to play in.